this World Championship match between JannLee and burpcow, and we are catching up to the first game. A lot has happened, so I'll just quickly. Oh shit, they're already on the second game. Okay, let's. I'll look at this and then we can hop into the second game. So we have a typical d4 d5 setup. Black opts for knight e7 and putting the pawn on f6, which is very common for JannLee. And then we have some maneuvering. Sort of fighting for control of squares, like white's trying to get into these squares, and black's just trying to maintain a grip of the king side overall. And then JannLee is able to get some pieces in to target the king, which gives him a really significant advantage. And you can see now that he's also able to set up a decent blockade around the king. And then burpcow tries to get something going here with this rook and bishop idea. Discovered check, but it's easily blocked by the knight, and JannLee just wins from having more material. Okay, now let me look at his TV. Okay. So now we are in game 2. So what happened here? We have the e4 knight f6 opening with an early a6 to stop bishop b5. And white is delaying this capture for whatever reason. Perhaps after a take, then it would benefit black. Usually what happens, black will eventually have to decide, I have to move this knight. So burpcow goes to e4. Another thing is this immediately threatens knight takes c3 and knight takes a2. So something has to be done about this knight. And I also noticed that e6 has not been played, so white could potentially be looking for ideas with the e6 square. And also this bishop is blocked, so perhaps the knight can go to c5. So JannLee immediately plays e6, f take, and probably play knight c5 next move. Or knight at e5. Knight at c5 is stronger. Okay, JannLee opts for knight at e5. The idea of just taking the bishop and then taking the pawn. You can notice now that with this pawn, this bishop is essentially pretty dead. Which means that these light squares will be permanent weaknesses that burpcow will have to deal with, despite being a pawn up. Oh, thank you, okay, for the raid. Wow, 12 people. Strong. Gotta change my stream title to reach us, so whatever. It's fine. I'll just keep reapplying per stream. burpcow plays knight at d6. This is a common place for the knight if you want to cover the f7 square. In this case, it also covers e4, which is convenient. JannLee could end up taking this pawn and drop pawn on d7 if he wants to, but he only gets a queen for it. burpcow will get 4 knights. Another thing is, can try to think about, I want to continue. So JannLee wants to get a pawn for d7, obviously, so he goes f3 in this case to try to win the e4 pawn. Now burpcow goes knight d5, the target this bishop. It's now undefended because I pushed the pawn. I think he missed this move. Actually, really don't need to deal with. Okay, now f6, take going on. So now you can take the pawn, but there's knight at c4 ideas, which attacking the queen and the bishop. So white opts to try to gain access to the e6 square. For example, take, and then knight at e6, or pawn at e6 now that I have the pawn. burpcow tries to get JannLee to spend a pawn on defending this so he won't have one in hand, which he does. There's a sliver on the 8th rank, which is cut. Oh, sorry. There's also a 60-minute delay. I must be on the wrong. Let me see. No, I'm on the right seat. Hopefully that is better. So h3, common, you want to disrupt the defender. Should takes d5, which we saw now white gave more control of the e6 square, so burpcow would probably want to fight back by dropping a bishop on f7 or something on, well, or he doesn't. But now maybe white could just drop a pawn on e6 and sack the queen. The idea that after takes, I'll go knight takes g6. Then even if you go like knight takes f3 check, I can, okay, but he doesn't do that. Maybe that's too risky. However, burpcow should not allow this. This seems really risky. Because now, like, if he gets a pawn and a knight, then he can threaten mate already. For example, one thing you might want to do is take, and take, but yeah, so now burpcow cannot take the queen because knight f7 is mate. However, I guess he might end up winning this game regardless. Queen d2, knight h4, f5, oh no, sorry, bishop f3 is mate. I guess, black wins with extra material. Okay, the score is tied 1-1. JannLee oh no. And we can't really tell if that was a pre-move or not. But it just felt like it. Well, now JannLee is like close to losing because in d4 positions, if in Crazy House in general, if you are down a piece with no compensation, it feels like you have 2 extra pieces on the board, right? So we can see now, because your opponent will get the piece that you lost. So for example, white has 5 pieces and black only has 3. So if JannLee can turn this game around, that would be really impressive. But he's saved worse situations before. 6. But what burpcow can do is just play slowly, because the extra material will definitely make its presence felt later in the game. Okay, great. Someone in the chat saying it's tilt. I think I've made similar primitive mistakes before. It just happens sometimes. Bishop g3, knight takes, knight 4. Frequency is slowly, like if black had an extra piece right now, the c3 pawn would be a lot weaker than it is. So JannLee might just have to resign this game soon. Well, of course, I'll keep playing on. It doesn't seem very appealing at the moment. If he gets 2 pawns, maybe like b2, a2 is an idea sometimes. King h8 to get the king off of this diagonal because white's going to open this up. Although, white can try knight at d5, which combined with knight takes f5 would be pretty annoying to face. Bishop g4, trying to distract the bishop from protecting this knight fork idea. Yeah, okay. Yeah, now we see it's just white's just torturing black with the extra piece. It's actually an extra 2 pieces. Can even take on g6 if he wants. That might be the better choice, honestly. Or he can slow play, take the queen, and just okay, yeah, he'll probably choose to take on g6. And then take on f8, and then the square will be open again. And there's a rook. Take, rook takes, queen h5. Tell queen h5 first, doesn't matter. Then bishop at g6. And knight at f7. I think. Okay, or just take a pawn, yeah. So this, like, this position is the last possible chance for JannLee to make something. It feels like, because white spent one move to grab a pawn, which means now black has something, then pawn at d2. They probably have to go for it. Otherwise, pawn at h7 is incoming, rook at g8 is incoming. Then this h file gets blasted open, and they can soon after. JannLee is trying to think of counterplay. Very nice. Bishop at g4. Interesting. So what's wrong with pawn at f7? You might think there's only one option, pawn at h7, but actually pawn at f7 could also be a thing, because if the knight cannot take it because of queen h7, so that leaves rook takes f7. And okay, now knight takes f7, but now there has to be something. Ah, there's a no, it doesn't work. Oh, rook at f8 maybe takes then g6. No, that doesn't work. Hello, Blunderman. If KH8, yeah, JannLee plays more defensive, so okay, knight at g6 with the idea, okay. What? Wait. What's his idea? I don't think he has meaning. Wow, he really might have just lost it with the piece. Anyways, while he's thinking, Blunderman was suggesting instead of king h8, maybe to go bishop at b2. But I mean, you can sort of say like this bishop's going to be offsides after white castles, and then white can use this diagonal to generate pressure. So JannLee sort of wants to prioritize defense. Bishop at d2, okay, king takes. With the idea of king takes, then the knight goes here, so he has to go king f1. I don't even feel like this is necessary. I think he can just, okay, oh, I see. So JannLee's idea is that white doesn't have any blockers aside from the two rooks. But he also can't spend them, because if he does, then he wins the queen for free and there's no mate. Wow, so JannLee wins that game due to some exceptional defense. We have the same opening from last game because burpcow won, so he's going to repeat it. So now JannLee probably won't push e6. He might consider knight at c5 first, and then which will support e6. Or he doesn't, he just plays bishop c4. Now black plays e6, so black structure is alright. In the long term, this pawn on e4 could be a weakness. Also, people in the chat are saying that Janna actually played 2 matches today. This is his second, and he won his first 7.5 to 2.5. So we'll see how this one goes. Oh, I see what you're saying, plundering. Well, you can reset your bishop for 3 pawns. I think our tempo is too slow here. Could be. Knight at d5. Just fighting for the center. So now a possible idea for white is to drop a knight on d2 or g5, not g5, on d2 to attack the e4 pawn. Another idea is to try to kick this knight, because if it goes back to c6, then it's going to be very passive. It will be a good defensive piece, but it won't have many offensive prospects. However, another thing is black could play here, which looks interesting. Where would this white knight want to go? Maybe a5? Take, the knight could still go to d3. However, after knight d3 takes knight at some point, put something on e4 maybe, that might be an issue. Okay, trade on e3 allows white to open the f5. It's always nice to remove the pawn from f2 after castle. Knight d3 now. Now JannLee is not afraid of either of these captures because that's pretty far away from his king. However, he also can't take twice here because this is check. Okay, so goes queen a4. Now this move would be bad because white can get 2 pawns for the piece and then drop a pawn at like c6 and d7, which forces black to weaken the dark squares by taking c6. So now actually might be some ideas with sacking something on d6.